So, hello guys, Ralph Galaxy here, and just so you know, this video is gonna be kind of dark because I'm outside and I like it dark. I don't like too much light at this time of the night, so you'll probably see my face while I'm smoking from time to time, but yeah, just don't mind it. It's kind of, it has been kind of hard this quarantine, and I'm like a very night guy, so I'll probably do more videos where I show my face in future. But yeah, I just felt, kind of like having a drink, smoking some cigarettes, and making this video while talking to you. So, and before we move in to the main topic of the video of today, which is why do people shit in video games, and is it a good thing, a bad thing? Should you care? Should you not care at all? All those things, I'll give you my experience and my own perspective in that. But I just want to thank you for the feedback in my previous video of Pokemon Clover cheating. And I'm glad it worked for a lot of you guys. It makes me happy, it makes me want to make more videos in the future teaching you about new things and uh, talking about all kinds of stuff that you can do with cheats in Pokemon and maybe on other video games as well. So I don't really know, YouTube is not like um, a job for me, I guess. I just do videos from time to time and I do them however I see fit or however I want and when I feel like doing them. So yeah. And with that said, I want to thank you again. I'm glad it worked. Um, I've shared other information in the Pokemon Clover cheating video that I found out. I've already beaten the game, and I hope that if you have other friends that need help or are kind of stuck in the game and are trying to find a way to cheat and don't know about anything yet, teach them like I teach you, and yeah, share that information. So moving on to today's topic, which is why do people cheat in video games? And yeah, kind of funny fact. So why do people cheat in video games? And is cheating a bad thing? Is it not? How should we start this conversation, man? I feel like I have so much that I want to say. So let's kick this off with um, a more general perspective, okay? So let's say that you can cheat in single player video games and you can cheat in online video games with other players, okay? So I think that cheating in single player games is okay because you're playing by yourself, you're not ruining the game or the experience for any other player. So I don't think cheating in single player games is bad at all. It's completely up to you if you want to do that. It's your own option, so I don't think people have much to say, and even if they do, in my personal opinion, I don't really care. But if you cheat in online video games, I think that's bad and I've done it, okay? I'll talk about my experiences in a bit, but I think that cheating in online games is a bad thing because first you're, of course, like uh, the biggest red flag is that you're ruining other players' experiences, and of course the majority will call you a cheater, and you'll probably be packed with other cheaters online as well, because of course there are hundreds and hundreds of cheaters online these days. For example, in recent games, you can just look at, let's say, Call of Duty Warzone. If you have seen what's been up with that game recently, it has been swarming up with cheaters all over the place, and it's like insane. I mean, I think they even uh, tried to pack the cheaters with other cheaters and the honest players with other honest players, because I've tried the game, but from what I heard, uh, it was just swarming up with cheaters, and it was hard to tell at one point if a guy was killing just by pure skill, or if he was cheating, because it would playing a battle royale with 100 or up to 150 players is like a lot of players online at the same time, and sometimes you'll just get shot out of nowhere and you don't even know how you died. So it can be hard to tell if the guy who killed you was cheating or not. And I think that's a good example of why people should not cheat online. And I've done it. I've played Counter Strike some years ago, um, as far as I can recall, because I'm not much of an online player. I've had like 3 accounts in CS. I cheated in 2 of them, and I got banned by Steam, which brings me to my next point. So even if you cheat online against other players these days, if you play an official video game, I'm not talking about pirated games this time, only official video games, because of course if you play an online game in a pirated way, there are ways to cheat without getting caught, but playing an online video game in an official platform like Steam, or playing on the PlayStation or on the Xbox or the Nintendo Switch online, you know, those systems and the guys behind them have built really thick walls against cheaters, and it's getting harder and harder to cheat online these days. So even if you cheat, you'll eventually get caught. So it's like a loss of time. Why would you cheat online when first you're just gonna angry people up eventually? They're not gonna like you. They're gonna call you names. It is gonna be brought up, and it's just not a good thing. If you wanna cheat online by in a game, uh, do it on a pirated way, or just don't do it at all, because if you do it in official way, you're gonna get banned. And why have all that work if you're gonna get banned anyways? Sooner or later, I don't think that's worth the time and the effort. Oh man, it feels so good to catch some fresh air. And yeah, but besides getting banned, I think that you should not cheat online, uh, for the majority of reason of angering other players and ruining their online experience. And I don't think it's fun at all, because when you're playing online with other people, you kind of you're kind of socializing in a virtual world, and it can be fun if you grind actually in those kinds of games, and if you have a team, and if you go through the struggle with other players, and even if you, let's say, you know when it comes to cheating, it really depends on the kind of games that you're trying to cheat on, because of course cheating on an FPS, it's completely different than cheating on an RPG, because RPGs are kind of like hard ass games with lots and lots of hours and grinding, even besides Pokemon. But cheating in other games that require much less effort, I don't think it's worth it. And I think if you're gonna play online, uh, just play because you like it and because you want to get good at it. Don't play uh, because you want to be a troll and ruin up other people's experiences and their way to get good at that skill. I don't think that's worth it. And there's really nothing nothing good will come out of cheating online, either with or against other people. You're gonna get hated on, you're gonna get banned. People will know that you're a cheater and they won't want to play with you. There's really not any benefit to playing online on video games these days. Back in the past, like some 10-15 years ago, yeah, I think you could get away in some games while cheating. Um, let's say, for example, if you're playing on Steam like 10 years ago, um, the VAC anti-cheat system was not as well built as it is these days, and there are times where you'll inject a cheat and you'll get banned on the spot. You won't even boot the game up because you have already been detected. So yeah, just don't do it online. And of course, if you wanna use cheats on consoles, you have to have that console hacked, okay? Otherwise, you can't even use cheats. So I wouldn't bother, and I've cheated online in the past. Um, Not because I wanted to angry people, but because sometimes I found other cheaters online that were ruining my experience and my team's experience. And as a big time cheater, I, I just wanted to get back at them out of anger, and I'm not proud of myself and of that today because I felt just like I was an angry kid back then. And I'm talking about when I was like maybe 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. I'm almost 26 now. I don't even find it funny to cheat these days. I think that's just wrong, and if you wanna cheat, just go to single player games, okay? Which is my next point, and it's where all my experience as a big time cheater is on. And that's the main topic of today's video: cheating in online. Sorry, cheating in single player and campaign games. Okay, games that have a story, games that can make you grind, games that only require you to play by yourself and not to play with other people. And even if you play with, let's say, your brother, your sister, your cousins in a co-op game at the same time in front of the same PC, television, or whatever, um, if you want to use cheats with them, I think it depends on the game. For example, if you're cheating, let's say your cousins come over for the weekend and you're playing against them on FIFA or on Mario Kart or on Street Fighter or Tekken, cheating on those games with real people in real time, I don't think it's gonna be fun. But if you like playing GTA, for example, and this is kind of where I think cheating can be justified. But let's say you're playing GTA with your brother or your family or a friend or whoever it is that you might be playing with. In cases on open world games like GTA, it can actually be fun if you use some cheats. And there are very different types of cheats. And when you're talking about cheating, you especially these days in 2020, where the world of cheating has evolved so much that cheating is not just a random code that you input on again anymore, and you'll have like infinite HP or MP or infinite bullets in an FPS or infinite nitro in a racing game. Okay, as an example, of course. So I think cheating in single player can be justified depending on the type of game that you're playing. And I'll just say this as a quick disclaimer because I'm not trying to encourage people to cheat. Um, Even with the last video I did about Pokemon Clover, where I actually cheated and I wanted to teach you guys how to cheat because the game was so fucking hard that it kind of takes away all the fun. I wasn't like trying to force you to cheat or making you. I wasn't trying to force you to cheat or saying that, oh man, you have to cheat in order to beat this game. No, of course not. If you wanted to still use the method that I taught you using cheat engine, and if you still wanted to cheat and get through the game quicker without doing that all that effortless and stupid grinding, that was the purpose of the video. But if you still wanted to get through the game without using cheats in a legit way and feel the game's difficulty, and oh man, get all the legit and good experience with all the hard work, man, be my guest, you can do it. I don't really care anyways. I've already beaten the game, but my point is, as a disclaimer, I'm not trying to force people to cheat, and I'm not encouraging you to cheat in this video. I'm just trying to justify why people cheat in games, depending on the case, on the context, um, on the type of games that you're playing, on the situation, at what part of the game you are, etc. You know, so cheating comes in many different ways and many different forms. But yeah, I think cheating in single player games is where I'm mostly at, because you know I've gotten through a lot of different games. I've been playing since I was like 5, 6 years old when I started, which it was at the time of the Nintendo 64, the Sega Mega Drive, the first Game Boy, and eventually as I grew up, I met the PS1. I played the NES, the SNES, and other consoles that I didn't own at the time at my friend's house, and that's kind of how I got introduced to video games. And for the next 9 or 10 years, you know, all the games that I played, I didn't use cheats because I didn't even know how to do that back then. I started cheating when I got my M3 DS Real back in 2006, 2007. I think I was about 12 years old at that time. 11, 12, I don't really remember it now. But that's when I entered the world of hacking, video game hacking, video game cracking, you know, homebrews and all that stuff, which eventually brought me to cheat and cheating in games. And sometimes it was hard to get some cheats in some games. It could be a real pain in the ass. As I explored more, as I learned, as I watched YouTube tutorials and learned how to do it, I eventually cracked more consoles, and my range of cheating became vast and wide, you know. So eventually, yeah, I started using cheats in games, but I mostly use cheats in games like RPGs mostly. I should say, and in some open world games like GTA, maybe some racing games where I kind of use like the shit money at some point in the game because I was just tired of doing races all over again to buy car parts and do upgrades and all that stuff. But my point is, when I cheat because I'm tired of something in the game that I just got sick of doing, and this comes off better when you're talking about RPGs, because when I started cheating, I started with RPGs mostly because RPGs are kind of like the game that if you're eventually gonna become a cheater in your life like me, where you use cheats in some video games, you probably have gotten through some RPGs, and over the years as you get older, and as you will have less time, as you get to work at a job, as you have a schedule and a routine, as maybe you get a girlfriend. I don't know if you have a family, if you have other better things to do in real life than gaming. Many single player games can take a lot of time to it, especially RPGs, which can go like up to between 50 to 90 or 100 hours, depending on the games you're playing, of course. And over the years, I've gotten through many different RPG series besides Pokemon, which is one of my favorite, of course. And I'm talking about uh, series like Final Fantasy, Persona, Shin Megami Tensei, Dragon Quest, Fire Emblem. I'm trying to think of other ones. Other RPG series that are not so well known these days. Um, Chrono Trigger. Man, I don't know. It's not like I have a list right now to tell you about all the RPGs and games that I've beaten in my life, but you can be sure that it has been over 120 or 30 games at this point. And oh man, I'm loving doing this video. I wanted to get this out for a long time and talking about my own experience and my viewpoints uh, about cheating, because yeah, of course I've been called a cheater over and over again online and by my friends, and I've done things wrong. Sometimes I'm innocent, and I don't think any cheater. I think if you're a cheater, you should come up front and just assume it, but you shouldn't let people step over you and make fun of you or say that you're not a gamer just because you cheat, because that's just not true. I have consoles that I haven't taken, and for example, I can't even use cheats on that. Like my PS4, I've gotten through many games on the PS4 up to this point, and I haven't used cheats because man, I can't even use cheats on the PS4. I don't have it cracked, so yeah, that's just to say that even though I'm a cheater, and even though I have cheated in many games, at certain points or in certain ways, I have still gotten through many different video games where I haven't used cheats, either because I didn't need to, because the game was fair, it was fun, it wasn't tiring, it rewarded me for grinding and for doing all the hard work over time, or B, because I just couldn't, because I didn't have a way or the means to cheat in X or Y games, so yeah. But back to my point, I think cheating in single player games is the way to go, and over time it can games can just wait on your time schedule, and they can take away many hours. And one of the good points to cheating is that cheating makes the game easier. It doesn't make you grind for lots and lots of time if you're playing the game legitly. Um, and it really can save up a lot of your time if you use cheats and if you beat the game that way. But with all that said, I don't think that, if you're enjoying a certain game and you don't want to use cheats, man, just don't do it. Play the game without using cheats, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to what type of game you're playing, and if you're playing online or not. And I'll say it again, I don't think cheating online is good, and I advise not to do it. You're not gonna get anything good out of it. Eventually you're gonna get caught, people are gonna hate on you. um, you're just not gonna feel good about yourself. But if you're cheating on single player games, you know at the end of the day, it's your campaign, it's your time, it's your own experience. You don't own a shit to anybody, and You know, people will call you cheater when you cheat in single players. You know, they can just go fuck themselves because it doesn't really matter. It's not their problem. It's yours. If you feel like cheating in a certain game while you're playing only by yourself or in a story, in a campaign, in a single player world, I don't think there's anything uh, bad with that. You know, at the end of the day, nobody really cares. Like, it's like saying if you have watched many animes or many series, movies, or if you have read a lot of books or manga or all that kind of stuff, you know, that will add up to your culture as a person and as a human being. But at the end of the day, if you have done like 100, 200, 300, 400 video games, people just won't care. So it's your time, it's your life. And you know, if you really want to save up time while playing some games, I'll say it again, especially RPGs, because RPGs are probably the game where the kind of game where you'll probably end up cheating at some point in your life. And you know, if you're new to RPGs, or if you haven't beaten that much RPGs like I have over the years now, you'll eventually come to realize that some games have the same grinding system that the last 10 games you played had. So you'll eventually, when you've gotten through like 20, 30, 40, even up to that point, RPGs, you'll start getting tired of some systems, and you won't feel like grinding through like 30 or 40 hours of the game just to get to that final boss and feel that experience. So yeah, in that regard, I don't think that there's anything wrong with cheating, you know. But of course, there are games that aren't that long and you don't have a need to cheat. Um, like Grand Theft Auto, Assassin's Creed that I'm getting through right now. Um, you know, there are open world games and games that, let's say if you played like a game like The Witcher 3 or The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, or Nier, or mm, even Assassin's Creed, I don't. Those games can have hard times and can make you feel their difficulty, but I don't think there's a need to use cheats, because even though those games can make you feel their difficulty, they will reward you. It's not like, and I'll talk about Clover again, because Clover was my last video, and it was the game that made me come back to YouTube after some months and make a video about it that I don't usually even do. And it's probably starting a chain of videos in my channel. I don't know where this is going, but if you want to stick with me, I welcome you. I'm probably gonna do more tutorials in the future as time goes on, talking about cheating in Clover again and other Pokemon remakes and maybe in other video game franchises. I don't know yet. It will it will eventually come to me as I move along. But yeah, at the end of the day, if you wanna shoot in a single player game, or even if you wanna shoot online, that's completely up to you. I've given you my answer in that regard. I don't think it's a good thing, and it's just time wasted. But if you're gonna shoot in RPGs, certain single player games, you know, you are not playing with other people. It's for your own sake and for your own experience. So if you feel like cheating in other games, man, yeah, what's wrong with that? I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And when I talk about cheats, it's kind of hard to make a general answer because cheating in video games has many different viewpoints, many different perspectives, many different opinions, answers, and it's really subjective. So even if I say that I cheat and that I like cheating, and I've been cheating for like 11 or 12 years now, um, of course I'm still gonna have people hating on me. Of course I'm gonna have, you know, my friends calling me a cheater and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I don't really care about that because it's my own experience. I don't own them anything, and my my viewpoint in life and in video games in general is that as long as I'm alive and as long as I continue to grow as a gamer, I want to get through as many different types of video games as possible, uh, especially RPGs in that regard because RPGs are one of my favorite genres, okay? And you know, I'll boot up certain RPG games where I'll play for like maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours maybe at some games, and I will not use cheats up to that time played and consumed. And if I see that the game just starts bothering me and it starts getting repetitive and the grinding just gets tiresome and it starts being the same over and over and over again, uh, and it just starts reminding me of a game that I played long ago where it was the same, because many RPGs, many different RPGs will just be, they will remind you of like X, Y, or Z game that you played a long time ago, because it's not that hard to base an RPG system of a game of the past, especially these days. Video games evolve uh, from this point onwards, and even in the last 10, 15 years, based on the first generations of consoles and games that came up and appeared. And of course, grinding systems will get new sets and new things, maybe new ways of grinding, but at the end of the day, they're all like just the same uh, big system that you have played on your PS1 or or on on your own Nintendo Entertainment System. If we go back and talk about things like Final Fantasy 1, 2, or 3, or Chrono Trigger, or Secret of Mana, or Trials of Mana, or all those older games. Man, I wanna say Earthbound, but Earthbound is a completely different case. I might do different videos talking about RPGs and games that I've beaten, and maybe I'll even do reviews and talk about certain game genres that I like, others that I don't like so much. And I don't hate any kind of video games in particular. I just I just have games that I like more and games that I like less. But even though there are some games that I always give a game an opportunity to show itself to me and to make me feel it and see if I want to get through that game or not. But eventually, if it gets tiring, and I've had games that even with cheating, at some point, I just grew tired of the game and I did not want to with it, so I put it aside. But yeah, cheating can really vary and have a range of different opinions. My advice to you: cheat on games only in single player games. Don't cheat online. And regardless of what people may say to you, don't say anything back at them if they're just hating on you, or if they're just mouthing things off about something they don't even probably know about. At the end of the day, it's you, it's your life, it's your own experience, and you don't owe people anything. Uh, Even if they call you a cheater when they go to bed at night, they won't care. They probably won't even remember they called you a cheater. So, you know, I'm glad that cheats exist. They've helped me many times and they will continue to help me throughout the next games that I'm gonna play as long as I'm alive. So yeah, and I don't think, like I said, um, if you're like me and if you want to get through many different kinds of games while you are alive and have a big culture and big video game experience over the years, and you just want, it's like traveling, for me playing video games it's like traveling, or it's a matter of culture. I live the story of the game, I live the characters, I live the plot. Besides living the game itself, the experience, the system, the fighting, and all that shit. And I want to get us through many possible different games as I can while I'm alive. It's like wanting to go to many different places on Earth as you can while you are still alive and while you have a shot at it, because eventually, you're gonna get old and you're just not gonna have the health or the means or the way to go out as you could go back when you were 20 or 30 or 40 or 50. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's your world, it's your own experience. You, if you are a cheater, you will always have people hating on you. So it's part of the game. It's something you have to learn to live with, and you know you just shouldn't care, because it's something that some people will always say that cheating is bad, and other cheaters in the brotherhood like me and maybe you guys will always think it's a good thing. It's like two sides of the same coin that will just never meet up with each other. They'll always be fighting against each other constantly throughout the ages. So just don't mind them, and continue to do your own thing. And with that said, um, I know this video was kind of dark and was kind of edgy and made in a random way, but that's kind of the way I make videos. I don't edit, I don't put filters, I don't really care about that. I'm not living off of YouTube. I have my incomes and my sources. Um, I make a video when I feel like talking about something. So, yeah, it's kind of a way to help me get my opinion out there on the world. And, yeah, share your opinions in the comments below. Tell me what do you think of cheating. Maybe tell me about your experience. I would love to know if you're a cheater, if you're not, if you're against cheating, um, if you're not against cheating, if you like cheating, if you cheat a lot, all that kinds of stuff relating to the cheating world. Uh, but if you're a hater, just don't comment, because I don't really care. I have cared in the past, but I'm not there anymore. It doesn't bother me. I just do my own thing, and I I don't give a crap about what people say in regards to cheating or not. Sometimes I even pity them, because there are certain games that they left off because they were hard and they weren't up to that level of difficulties. And I told them, yeah, you could use a cheat. And just a cheat. It's not like you're cheating the whole fucking game. You could use just like a cheat for experience or for infinite life, just to make you have an edge over a certain boss or a certain difficulty setting in the game. And they just left the game out because they didn't feel like it. And at the end of the day, it's a good thing for me, because I still got to the end of that game and they did not. So, we're all gonna die one day. Do I care if people say bad things about me and about cheating? No, I used to, but I don't give a crap anymore, and I don't think you should either. So, with that said, I'm gonna wrap up here. Until next time, I don't know when my next video is gonna be out. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I'm sorry, I know I make long videos, but I just don't know how to make a short video, because I talk a lot, and when I start debating or giving my opinion on a certain team, it kind of goes off. And at one point, it has been like 1 hour, maybe, I don't know. So, yeah, if you like this video, subscribe. It will help my channel and it will help me growing. But if you know, even more than that, I don't live off of YouTube. I don't care about, of course, subscribing and having subscribers and people comment always feels good at the end of the day. I know, right? But having comments, creating a discussion, creating a brotherhood, a group where we can talk about these things is like the thing that gives me pleasure and that makes me want to do more of these videos, okay? So until next time, I hope you guys have enjoyed, and this is Ralph Galaxy and I'm out, motherfuckers.